Podcast episode number 3. Welcome to the Building the Thriving Lifestyle podcast. I'm your host, Eik Gylladóttir, and I love growing better humans by challenging myself and others mentally and spiritually. On today's episode, we are going to talk about how you can tune in with your body and train around or with an injury, and eventually, hopefully, train yourself out of pain. This podcast is brought to you by Liftex. Liftex is an equipment supplier based out of Dubai that offers worldwide shipping on their products. They complete an A to Z solution for your customized gym, no matter the size of the gym. So whether you're dreaming of being able to do workouts from home, hiding your workout equipment in a closet or under your bed, or if you dream about kitting out the best home gym ever, Liftex can sort you out. You will find their link on my website under partners, so make sure to check them out. And if you want a little discount on your next purchase, make sure to use the code EIK for a 10% discount on your order. A disclaimer, I do get commission if you use my code, so that would be a great help to me if you want to kit out your gym, get a discount, get me a payment from my affiliation with Liftex. So the reason why I want to talk about this topic, which is training with an injury safely, is because usually when people reach me, I hear a common story that I would probably be rich if I got a penny for every single time that I heard this. So usually it sounds something like this. I got into a great workout routine last year. I started feeling some pain. I kept pushing through, hoping that it would just go away, but then I ended up with this injury. I went to the doctor. The doctor told me to take 2 to 4 weeks of training completely and take some ibuprofen. And this could literally be insert any body part or joint. It was super painful for a few weeks. I couldn't even do my house chores without taking some painkillers, and it really felt like a scary experience to me. And then, since then, I've tried to get back into training, but I kind of experienced the same pain again. Now it's been 6 months, I put on some weight, I have aches and pains starting to appear in other places, and I really don't know what to do. This reality is extremely common, and sadly, it's a really common reason that people kind of fall out of their training routine and don't get started again. For some serious injuries, it might be necessary to take some time off, but for many of the aches and pains that we started experiencing in the gym, this is not the way to go. And we have to start differentiating between injuries and aches and pains, okay? And to help you better understand this, if you are struggling with an injury in your life, I'm going to introduce 4 rules of pain that are going to help you get in tune with your body so that you can assess the situation, see what's right for you, okay? So again, a disclaimer, if you have an injury and you are in pain more than what I'm going to describe in those 4 rules below, your doctor might be right. You might need to take some time off. But if you are in pain and your pain improves or follows the rules of pain, then you might be just safe continuing training as you're doing. Maybe you need some modifications in your exercise, okay? So here's what I've found. Most of the injuries that start in the gym, that start out as aches or uncomfortable sensations that go away when you warm up, they are caused by friction between tissue. And usually it's because body parts, joints, or areas are not moving like they're supposed to. Yeah. So these poor bugger tendons or muscles get pinched or blocked or scrape over a surface due to lack of mobility, improper movement, or poor technique. Okay, so what we can do to limit these factors is to make sure that we include some mobility in our warm-ups. We can learn how to move well and have all our techniques under control at all times. And another way to kind of focus on avoiding these injuries is to make sure that we move well first before we start adding any intensity and volume. And this applies to everything with a lot of repetition. So whether you're into high intensity training, Barry's Bootcamp, running, or something completely different, if you're doing a lot of reps, then this will apply. We are all built up of different tissues. We have muscle, tendon, ligaments, bursas, and all the rest of it in our body. And the commonality for these tissues is that they can sustain a certain amount of volume and load. And just before we dive into these 4 rules of pain, I want to kind of help you understand what volume and load means. So load means that how much weight we're going to put on a certain thing before it kind of loses its ability to handle it. So this could, for example, be a quad muscle, the front of our thighs, and we load it up with heavier squats. So some people will experience no pain at all doing a bodyweight squat, but as soon as they put 60 kilo on it, that might be too much load for their muscle and tendon to handle. Another example is being able to do a push-up on the wall, but being unable to load it up and do a push-up on the floor. That's simply too much load for our shoulders, pec muscles to be able to handle it. When we talk about volume, we're talking about how many times we're doing it. So for some people, they're able to do 1 squat with 60 kilos and that goes fine. But as soon as they try to do 10 repetitions or more reps, that's when things start to feel a little fishy. Another one is that you can do 1 push-up on your toes, but when you try to do 60 of them, that's when the problems arise, okay? So we have to distinguish between volume and intensity and kind of play around with those modules as well. Another thing that we need to understand before we dive into these 4 rules of pain is how we assess pain. And pain is usually assessed on a visual analog scale. You can find the link to that in the description below or in the show notes. Visual analog scale is a scale that goes from 0 to 10, where 10 is the worst pain possible. Childbirth, labor, amputation, name it, like serious amount of pain, and 0 is no sensation or pain at all. So when we're talking about tissue damage or serious injuries that you need to take a step back from, what we use as a reference is around 5 on that scale. So we want to make sure that we're on the safe side, that's between 0 and 5. Okay, so what's the lesson here? The pain rule number 1 is that when you train during any movement or any part of your exercise, your pain should be preferably less than 4. Okay, so as long as you stay under 4, you're pretty safe. You're not risking any further damage of the tissue or causing any injuries in the long run. Okay. But they do say no pain, no gain. So if you're currently dealing with an injury, odds are it's not going to be completely pain-free coming back. But we're looking to have pain that's less than 4 so that you can kind of provide the right stimulus, grow the tissue stronger after your session without tearing it too much down. Rule number 2 is during any given exercise that as you move through your sets, whether that is your squats that we spoke about before or your push-ups, your pain should either decrease, get better, or stay the same across the whole entire set. So if you start your squats and you have a VAS 3 or a pain level 3 in your knee, as you move through your set of squats, the pain should almost be the same or less as you move through the set of 10. Okay? Pain rule number 3, when you start moving, your pain should disappear. There should be no further discomfort or pain once you stop moving. You rack the bar or put down the dumbbell, your muscle feels pumped, your quad, for example, after squat, but you should be no further discomfort. There shouldn't be this like lingering achy feeling as you quit or stop your exercise. Pain rule number 4, to know that you're stimulating yourself in the right way, is that within the next 48 hours, 2 days after the workout, so this means if you work out on a Monday through Tuesday and Wednesday, there should be no more pain than before your workout, okay? So if again it's your quad that you are struggling with or your knee, after your session, no pain when you put the dumbbell down, and the morning after you wake up should be the same, the evening after same, and so on and so forth, okay? If your pain has increased during pain rule 1, 2, 3, or 4, it means that we need to look at the technique, look at the amount of reps that you're doing, and the amount of weight that you're using for that given exercise, okay? So this means that if you are doing squats, you might need to lower the weight, make sure your knees are pushing out, equal balance on your foot, check your depth, and so on. And you need to make sure that every single session that you do, that you are not pushing yourself over that 5 on the pain scale, and that you're making the adjustments that are needed to stay within that zone. That's the way that you can hopefully train yourself out of this pain over time. So a really important note before we move on is also to mention that when I say pain, I'm not talking about the DOMS. So if you, in the 48 hours after your session, feel DOMS from your quads, but not pain from the tendon in your knee, that means that you hit the right spot. We're A-okay with DOMS or muscle soreness here and there. It's the specific pain that you felt before your session that we don't want to increase. Where to start? So if you are dealing with pain and you want to get back into the gym, first thing you gotta do is start out easy, start out light, start out small. Make sure you download the VAS scale or the visual analog scale, either from my website, you'll have the link below in descriptions, or Google it. Make sure to start taking notes of your pain and sensation both during your training and after your session. If you're experiencing pain worse than 4 on the scale of 0 to 10 during movements, then lower the weights, look at the techniques. And if your pain gets progressively worse during any given movement, then maybe skip that movement for now. If you have tried to lower the weight, decrease the rep, and improve your weights, and you're still having worse pain either during or after your session, then it's time to call in someone who can help you, yeah? Make sure to contact a licensed healthcare provider. This could be a physiotherapist, chiropractor, or a doctor to get an assessment on your injury. Don't accept the just take ibuprofen and take time off. Make sure that you have a plan, detailed plan on how you're going to get back into your training and your activities. You deserve to get that plan. So I hope this helps. If you're dealing with an injury, don't worry. Most injuries heal over time. If there was anything in this episode that made you feel inspired and motivated to take some action, then cut it down into a 5-minute action and make sure you do it right now, just after this episode, while you're feeling motivated. If you want more quick and dirty tips on how to cope with injuries and live your best life, then make sure to subscribe to the Building Thriving Lifestyles podcast on any podcast provider that you might listen to, or follow us on Instagram so you never miss an episode. Have a great day.